Hey, welcome back to another Think Well chat. So if it's the first time that you're tuning into one of these, essentially what it is I love to speak about wellness and taking care of ourselves. And my specialties are in the area of nutrition, but I mean, when you look at the full picture, I really believe that it has to do with everything in your life. So that means what you're putting into your body, how you're moving your body, just our everyday routine, how we're taking care of ourselves. It all comes together, and that is really important to me and what I do over at the Think Well Method. So what these chats are is basically an opportunity for you to come here as someone who maybe has a busy lifestyle or is just navigating life, right? There's so many different things that can happen in our life outside of taking care of ourselves, but it doesn't mean that that has to go out the door. So finding that balance was something that I it was a trial and error for me, and I am not secretive about that whatsoever, but that's where I can come here and kind of just share my experience. So even as a nutrition and eating psychology coach, someone who teaches people about habits and things like this, I'm always looking at my routine and new opportunities to kind of revamp it, see what works. I have my job, I've got my family, I've got obligations, and so I'm here to relate to you, to understand you, and we're gonna have a real talk. So today we are talking about meal prep. So I know that meal prep can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, and even in my own experience, I have experienced meal prep meaning very different things. It used to be that I would spend an entire day on Sunday, I'd go to the grocery store. I really honestly loved it. I loved taking my time, creating recipes. I would sit there for 2 hours on the couch watching the Food Network and thinking of, how can I spice things up this week? How can I make it a little different? I'd plan all my breakfasts, all my lunches, all my dinners. And at that time, I had a full-time job and I was going into an office. This is pre-COVID. But I know a lot of you are probably either in a position where you're going into an office, maybe part-time, or you're fully remote and you're working from home, maybe the coffee shop occasionally, we're all in different situations. And so it's kind of nice because that definition of meal prep to me was really, really helpful in that schedule. And now I've evolved it many times over to adapt to my work from home. It's a little different. There's things that I prioritize that are a little different. So what I'm giving you today is basically a 5-step, I wouldn't even call it steps, 5 tips to meal prep when you have a busy lifestyle. And that's as simple as it gets. These tips specifically, I just actually wrote a blog. It's up on thinkwellbyjess.com, and it has a full list of 15, but I'm gonna give you 5 that I think are the most impactful. So by the time we're done with this short 10 to 15 minute conversation here, you have really actionable things that you can go apply and just feel a little bit better about meal prep in general. And I'll also preface this with, if you don't currently have a meal prep routine, this is really, really a good conversation for you, as well as if you do, but you're finding that you kind of put it on the back burner when other things come up. No shame in that, because life happens and you might be hustling in your career. You might really have family as the priority. Whatever it is, no shame, no judgment ever here. But these tips should help. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first one is going to be to have variety within your meals, but use the same core ingredients. So that basically means that you're gonna get bored of having the same exact meal every single day of the week. I actually am someone who can repeat meals, but I also know that there's people who, it's really easy to prep the same thing and make maybe 5 dinner portions or have the same lunch and dinner. If you know that doesn't work for you, set yourself up for success ahead of time and create this variety. Use the same ingredients, and what I mean by core ingredients would be, for example, if you have chicken and rice, right? Boring. There could be so much more added to that. And there's nothing wrong with chicken and rice, but You can take that to the next level by making a taco bowl out of that chicken and rice. You can make a soup out of that chicken and rice. You can also make maybe a Mediterranean dish out of it. And that is all going to be using the same ingredients. So when you're going through the grocery store and you pick up a pack of chicken or, a thing of rice or whatever it is, again, just examples there, it just makes your life easier because you don't have to have these crazy long ingredient lists, but you are getting that variety. And sometimes it's as easy as switching up a spice or a sauce. And that will bring me to number 2. I always say, stock your spice cabinet. Sometimes people have this assumption that you should, if you're a cook and a chef and you use your kitchen a lot, you're gonna have a lot of spices. Honestly, like if you've ever been to Trader Joe's and you see they have the pre-made seasonings, and I'm talking everything but the bagel seasoning to they have a pre-mixed ranch seasoning. They have a taco seasoning, they have a green goddess seasoning, but also I've seen these things in regular grocery stores as well, on Amazon, but things as simple as that can take one, piece of chicken or a meal that you make, like veggies and things like that, and kind of switch up the flavor. So it's so easy, usually inexpensive as well, and it takes an extra step or two, but that way what you've prepped, you can look forward to that flavor just changing up a little bit. Saying the same thing with sauces as well. We are not against pre-made sauces here. I would caution you from the nutrition side to just see how you can maybe get something that isn't as processed if it's available to you. There are a lot of good, brands like Primal Kitchen, I have zero affiliation with. However, I really like that they offer a lot of condiments that make life just so easy. I mean, putting like ranch on a taco bowl, that elevates that, and I didn't have to do much to do that. Also things like, barbecue sauce, hot sauce, your girl lives for hot sauce. These things can be really easy ways to add that flavor, and if you keep them in your fridge or in your kitchen, maybe when you go to the grocery store, it's a matter of picking up those core ingredients, and there you go. You can switch up your meals. You can even decide in the moment to switch up your meals, which is great. That brings me to number 3. I have my list of notes so I don't forget anything for you all. Definitely make a shopping list. And I have a little method for the shopping list that I think can cause less chaos. And honestly, if you're someone who's could do without grocery shopping, this makes it a little easier to get through the store without running all over the place and looking for things. So what I do personally is I set my grocery list where I have everything I need that's produce, everything I need that is pantry stable, so it's in those core middle aisles usually of a store, anything I need from the frozen section, and then also anything I need from the refrigerated section. So that's like dairy products, cheeses, meats. By doing that, you could then, as you walk through the store, whatever your store looks like, you can kind of form a route. And I usually get in and out within 10 to 15 minutes this way, because I know, and I've gotten so accustomed to, okay, great, I'm in the produce section, I know I need X, Y, and Z, that part of the list is done. You kind of work your way through the list, and you get to, I love self-checkout, but you get to checkout, and by the time you know it, you're done. You've got your ingredients and you're ready to go. So highly recommend. That being said, I also want to make a note about the frozen section. Frozen section is your best friend if you need it to be. If you need convenience and you can't find the time, when I tell you that a bag of frozen broccoli that's already pre-cut for you, thrown into a soup or into, on a pan and just roasted with those seasonings, with those sauces, a little bit of olive oil perhaps, salt and pepper. It doesn't need to be anything complicated, but there's nothing wrong with taking that cheese step, and I do it all the time. Even cauliflower rice they sell in the frozen aisle. There's a lot of things that you can get there that can make your life very easy. Even down to a veggie mix. It doesn't need to just be vegetables, but this is one of the steps I know can hang people up, where you get this big head of fresh broccoli. It's great, now I've got to cut this thing, chop it up, wait for it to soften up because raw broccoli is very hard. So frozen aisle. do it, no shame in it. It could make your life easier. Now, we'll talk about breaking up your meal prep. So Sunday meal prep is definitely something that people do. I've kind of done this method. It works for me. I make it a little ritual and I find it easier to just take one day. However, I have tried a new technique and I know a lot of people love breaking up their meal prep. That can mean maybe picking 2 days a week. So it could be looking at Sunday as not, okay, we need everything and every ingredient prepped all the way till next Sunday. It could simply be, let's take care of tonight, Sunday dinner, Monday, lunch and dinner, whatever meals it is that you need to prep, and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, maybe go to the grocery store again, see what you're craving, be in the moment, and do another prep for the rest of the week. And that can really help you to, especially if you're someone who you plan ahead one Sunday and midweek you're like, oh, I don't even want what I prepped. This can help you just keep things fresh, but also it breaks up that time commitment. So maybe it's an hour each day versus like a few hours on a Sunday. Whatever works for you, it could work. And you know the days that your schedule might be lighter, and no shame in that. And the last tip I have for you on the topic of frozen is your freezer is your best friend. What I mean by this is that, so many things. So I get produce, and personally, I'm the only person in this house that eats a lot of the produce. And so I get these big quantities, and I also love Costco. So I'll get like a big thing of broccoli, like a bag that's totally fresh. There's no way I'm gonna eat all of it or be able to prep all of it. And so to make it more affordable and also to set me up for success when I need to pull ingredients quickly, I will usually take those things and I pre-portion it into little containers and I put it in the freezer. That works the same way that I was talking about the frozen broccoli in the frozen aisle. But also, if you have a meal that you're prepping and you make, maybe it makes 10 portions, right? It's a big soup or something. And you're like, this is totally gonna go to waste. Freeze them, and then next week that's your prep. You already did, you prepped for 2 weeks. This can also work for herbs. That's like my go-to thing, is I never use all the herbs that come in like a little package. Freeze them, because most likely you're putting them in a dish that's gonna be cooked down anyway. So like putting them in a skillet pan with some olive oil, they just thaw right out, same great quality. I love also like freezing mint to put into smoothies. It blends right in, great, love that. So these are my tips for you. Hopefully that kind of like opened your eyes a little bit on, okay, there's definitely one of these things that I can do, or just maybe try out. And as always, I am here for continued inspiration. I'll keep sharing tips as I learn them, because I learn from all of you as well. And I'm so thankful that you came to another Think Well chat, and we will talk next week. Bye.